Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly download number 9 and happy holidays. I am broadcasting live from Santa Barbara, California. This is actually hello, everyone. Hopefully, you just caught that whole introduction of the weekly download number 9. Happy holidays. Hopefully you had a really great Christmas. I know that it has been a tough year, but at least we have some time to rest, reflect, and spend time with family and friends. And here in California, we are locked down. We cannot go anywhere, and that's why I'm here in Santa Barbara at my parents' house. And I'm actually spending the holidays with my parents. So I'm in this old room, so I'm not in the WeWork anymore. WeWorks are also not very safe, and that's what happens when you're living with people who are over 70 years old. You got to be very careful. But that's not what the subject is for today. Today's subject is what's the best budget camera kit for anyone out there who wants to get the best video content and quality for the lowest price. I know a lot of people who are getting into the game of video production, video content creation, and just videography in general. They always ask this question. And it's a great question because a lot of you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on REs and sky panels and C stands and grip 1 ton grip trucks. You don't need that. It's all about just having that great kit that you can get for under $1,000. And if you really want to get a good kit for even below $500, you can just use your phone. And to be honest, to go up in levels, I think that the first level that you have when it comes to a low budget camera kit and lighting kit is to go with your phone. Okay, so a lot of us have smartphones. Now, the smartphones these days, if you're an iPhone 10 and above, your selfie cam is 1080p, which is great. And then the reverse cam or the back cam or the rear camera is 4K. Now, iPhone 11s and up, that's 4K in the front. But for a lot of the iPhone 6s and below, you have 720 on the front camera. Now, at the end of the day, if you are just filming something like this, let's say it's a vlog or it's a video sales letter or it's just you capturing a moment with you and your family and friends, your phone is fine. And you can do a lot with your phone. And so if you just want to capture something right here, right now, most of you can start with your iPhone or with your Google phone, your Pixel, your HTC, your Samsung, whatever it is, you can use your phone the best that you can by changing the settings to the most optimal resolution. And I have a whole webinar on this, but I'll just go over it really quickly here. Now, what you do is you go into your phone settings, look at the camera settings, and you change it to either 4K or 1080. You see what the max settings are. I personally like 4K 24 frames per second. I like 24 frames per second. It's a better look for me. It looks more cinematic, and I think it looks better than 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. Now you can record in 60 frames per second if you want to have a video gamey sports look or also have the option for slow motion. I prefer to record in 24 frames per second and 60 frames per second if I know I'm going to be using it for slow motion. You have to also remember the higher the resolution, the higher the frame rates, that also means that you're going to be taking up a lot of memory on your phone. So when you do shoot on your phone, you have to free up a lot of space if you're going to be shooting in high resolutions and a high frame rate. Now, what kind of lights can you use when you have just a phone? So I think that you can get a really good, cheap lighting kit online for less than $400. And one that I like are the newer lights, the LED light panels. You can also get the GVMs. And the GVMs, I've seen this around with a lot of my videography friends. It's a great lighting panel. I mean, honestly, if you have a bicolor lighting panel and you have barn doors and you have lighting stands and you have a carrying case, three of them for under $400, you're getting a deal. I mean, this is something that you couldn't get 10 years ago for under $1,000. I mean, you're having bicolor, which means that you can have sunlit lights or lights that are balanced for sunlight indoors, or you can make them tungsten for a more warmer look, and then you can actually create some really cool tones. But at the end of the day, you probably just used mostly daylight, and if not, if you're indoors, you'll try to balance the color to 3200 or around 4000, but that's a little too technical right now. But if you want to get a really cheap lighting kit, you can get the GVMs. Even cheaper lighting kit is that you get the smaller LED light panels. And you can get these for about, I would say, $50. And if they get even cheaper, is a ring light. You get a ring light that has a phone tripod already attached to it. So you get a ring light with a phone tripod. That's around $50, and it's a very basic kit, but you're able to light yourself and get a tripod at the same time. And it's the cheapest way for you to do vlogs. And also, if you want to get into interviews, then you want to get 3 lights. If you're really cheap, then you can do 2 lights. And the 2 lights is going to be a 2 light system, one in the front, one in the back. The back is going to be shooting behind the head, and then you're going to have the front light shooting towards the face. It's called a 2 light setup. And 3-point lighting is when you have one at 45 degrees or 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and then you have one light in the back hitting the back of the head. And then you have an outline with the actual head and the shoulders and the back of your subject. Now, let's say that you wanted to get to the next level. So let's say you have your phone, you have a ring light, you have cheap LED lights, like small LED lights. You can get newer lights, and there's a lot of LED, DSLR, camera kits out there that you can find. There's so many different brands out there. I use Newer. There's also Viltrox. There's a lot of just different types of Chinese brands or offshoot brands out there that do the job. So if you're trying to save money, you can find these different types of light panels. Now, if you want to take the next step up, there is the kind of like in the below $500 range. You can get the GoPro Hero 8 for $350, but that's an action cam. So you can use that if you're traveling around, doing some travel videos. But it's not really great if you're trying to shoot an interview and, a vlog, yes, but trying to do an interview or try to create really cool cinematic shots, you're not going to get it with a GoPro. But it's a great, addition to your phone to, let's say, if you want to go underwater. So if you're doing a traveling video and you want to save as much money, you really just get a phone, and then you have your GoPro, and you get those small LED lights. You can even get a ring light that attaches to your phone if need be, and that's a great kit. I honestly feel that's a great kit. You can get a Moment case, and you can attach some anamorphic lenses or just some lenses on top of that, and you can get Filmic Pro, which is an app that you can get on your phone, and it allows you to actually control the white balance. It controls the ISO. It controls the phone camera like it was just a regular DSLR, so you have more room to play with your settings, so you're not stuck with auto mode. All right, so if you feel that you want to upgrade to the next level, you have the Nikon D3500, the Sony A5100, the Panasonic DC7S770S, and then you have the Canon Rebel T6. I started with the Canon T3i. I personally like Canons. They're easier to navigate than the other cameras because of the menu options are just easier for me. And a lot of people like to start off with Canons. Canons have this just great lens family, and at the same time, it's one of those cameras that are just so easy to get used to as a beginner. But like I said, there's a lot of great cameras out there, the Sonys, the Nikons, the Panasonics. And what you'll find is that as you get higher and higher in range, the brands you're going to really pay attention to are Canons, Panasonic, Sonys, and Nikons. And then you have Fujifilms, and then you have Blackmagic. And then you have other cameras out there, of course, but those are the ones that are kind of in the family of cameras that a lot of video creators and filmmakers and sometimes DPs use. And then you go down to Reds and, of course, the RALXs and so on and so on. Now, when you get to this level, I honestly feel that you'd want to get the best lens. And so when you get into this idea of lenses, there is the argument of whether or not you should get prime lenses or zoom lenses. Prime lenses give you the ability to get the best quality out of a lens, but you can't zoom. You're stuck with a certain focal length. Now, if you have zoom lenses, you have more versatility, but you don't have the best quality when it comes to the image, and you probably are stuck at f2.8 or f1.8 rather than a lot of these prime lenses that are a little bit faster, and you can get down to an f1.2. And what that means is that you can actually open up the lens to let in more light in dark situations. You can also get a Metabone speed booster, which allows you to actually stop down or stop up a little bit more, open up the lens a little bit more, and give you a stop or two more when it comes to your aperture and the amount of how wide you can open it. But at the same time, that also messes with your focal length, and your depth of field. So this is getting a little bit advanced, but what I'm trying to say is that at this range, about $350 to $500, when you get these lenses, when you get these cameras, you're gonna start also having to buy lenses. It's no longer just this automatic lens and point and shoot cameras. I skipped over point and shoots and camcorders because you need to take it to the next level. Okay, so with these cameras, you're gonna have to also get lenses. I prefer for you to get a zoom lens that's around 18 to 35, 24 to 70s, 70s to 100s. And what that means is that you have a focal length from 18 millimeters to 35 millimeters, 24 millimeters to 70 millimeters, and 70 millimeters to 100 millimeters. So back when I was starting out, the classic kit was that you would get a Canon 5D with the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8 Canon L lens. That was like the kit of the day because it was such an easy way to shoot a wedding or an event without having to worry about switching lenses because you had a full frame camera with 24 as a great wide focal length and a 70 for some great detailed shots. And then if you wanted to get macro or you were far away and you really wanted to zoom in, you get the 70 to 100. And so when it comes to these lenses and going up, you also have to consider, what type of lenses you want for your camera. You can get the third-party lenses like the Tokinas, the Tamrons, the Sigmas, the Rokidons. And what these are is that these are lens companies that create lenses that aren't the Sony lenses, or not the Lumix or Panasonic lenses, or not the Canon lenses, or not Nikon lenses, but they still do the job. And sometimes they're not as cheap as they used to be. They're actually increasing in quality, and so they're getting a little bit more expensive. But if you really want to save money, you can find these lenses that are cheaper than the native lenses for the cameras. So we're talking about really budget kits right here. I honestly feel you get a Canon T6 or the Sony or the Nikon D3500, and you get yourself a good zoom lens, and you can get like a Sigma lens, a Tamron lens, a Tokina lens. If you want to get really cheap, you go down to Tamron or Tokina, or you can find a way to get one of these lenses that are native. It's just that the f-stop or the aperture is going to have a sliding or variable aperture. It'll be like an f4 to f5.6. So if you want to really keep it cheap, I honestly feel you get a Canon and then you get a like a Tamron or a Sigma or a Tokina zoom lens, 24 to 70, and then you get those GVM LED lights, and you got yourself like an $800 kit. Now, some of you might think that's a little expensive, but you can do a lot with that kit. And if you want to go cheaper, I honestly feel you can just use your phone. And if you want to get above your phone but below the DSLR, you go for that GoPro, or you do get a camcorder or whatnot. But I really do not like the camcorders because you have a lens that's fixed. It's inside the camera. You can't change it. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones out there that are different. I prefer not to do camcorders. I prefer to actually work with mirrorless or with DSLR cameras. There's also point and shoots out there, and you can find some great point and shoots out there as well. Now for the tripod, I found that my favorite is this Magnus VT4000. I honestly have done so many professional shoots with this Magnus tripod system. It's $160, and it's so great for these small cameras. Like, I can't tell you how funny it is when you have a Manfrotto, tripod with a 501 or 502 like fluid head, and you have yourself a Canon T3i with a nifty 50 prime lens. It just looks silly. So unless you have a huge camera kit that weighs over 15 pounds, or a rig that weighs over 15 pounds, you're good with the cheaper tripod cameras. And so don't try to get like a Manfrotto or a Schlachter or all these like different types of like cinema grade tripods out there, because you don't need it. And so just be real with yourself of what you're going to be using the tripod for. And then when it comes to sound, there's different ways that you can actually use your phone and then your AirPod, and then you can actually use that AirPod as your mic, and then you can like record it into your voice recorder, or you can get a lavalier mic, or you can get like Sennheiser MKE 600 shotgun mic, which I have. It's $340, or a Rode video mic for $150, or you can do another Rode mic, the Rode Link FM digital wireless mic, 375, and that's a wireless lavalier mic. So right now, I just kind of broke down some cheap camera options and some cheap, lights and some cheap sound and some cheap tripods for a cheap kit. Now, you can have all these cheap items, but if you don't have the skills to actually make it look good, then it's all for naught. It's all about using what you have and making the best with what you got. So I honestly feel what you should do with these cameras when you do start playing around with lighting, you want to take it to the next level, you're not doing auto anymore, is that you really have to know about 3-point lighting. You really have to know about composition, about camera movements, also focal length, and then understanding shot selection, and then also editing. And I have to know a lot to put together, but also know what you're using your videos for. Now, you're trying to shoot travel videos. That's different if you're just trying to shoot product videos, or if you're just trying to shoot a music video, or you're just trying to shoot a VSL or a video sales letter or a vlog. And so really knowing what you're going to be using these videos for really determines what kind of kit you need and what kind of shots you're going to need to capture in order for you to get that your audience interested. And so for me personally, I started off doing branded content, working with fashion brands and going to events and covering events. So I got a Canon T3i with a Tamron lens. It was a 24-70 f2.8. I had an LED light panel, an LED light that I screwed onto the top of the camera, and I would just go around with that kit. And I would have a tripod, and then I would probably also have a lavalier for interviews. But then if I didn't need the light, I'll put the shotgun mic on top. But if I needed the light, I would use a lavalier mic, because when you are traveling around, the shotgun mic is great. It's just that you'll start picking up background noise. I found a lavalier mic was better for me to capture sound in noisy situations like a concert, a festival, or a conference. And then when you are shooting brands, sometimes there's no audio. So if you're doing like a fashion video, it's best to just have a reflector and somebody holding reflector in daylight, or you can play around with LED lights and whatnot, and really focus on your camera movement and your focal length and your shot selection and your editing style and your storytelling all put into one. And then if you're just doing something like a VSL, like a video sales letter, or just something like this, you don't need all that. All you really need is your iPhone and then a ring light, and you're good to go. And if not, you get yourself a iPhone with a 3-light setup, and you're good to go. And you can get the GVMs, or if you want to get soft boxes, get the GVMs, or get the newer lights or the Cowboy Studios with the soft boxes. And you can get yourself some really great lighting, soft lighting, by using 3-point lighting. Get the soft boxes, have them point down towards you, 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, then have one behind you hitting your head. And if you want to get fancy, you also have a light that's lighting up your background, either an overhead or one that's pointing towards the background from the side or from behind you. Or you can do some really cool stuff where you have like little lights that are put around in different colors. You can create a nice colorful background. So that to me is the best way to create a really cheap kit for under $800. And if you are going to be a videographer doing music videos and just a more high level production value type of videos, then I would really suggest you go into the higher range of cameras where it's about $1,000 and above. You're talking about the Sony a7S IIIs or the Mark IVs. You're going for the Canon 5Ds, getting for the Panasonic GH5 or the Panasonic SH1, or you get yourself a Blackmagic 6K, or you get into, of course, like the Reds and then the ARRI Alexa Minis, and then you're just getting into full-on big productions. But until you get to that point, really practice with these smaller cameras. And then if you're just a business owner trying to make a video to promote yourself, don't worry too much about the technical side of things. I really do feel you just have to worry about the composition of your frame, how you edit, how you capture your sound, how you light yourself, and making sure you get your point across and your message across, and not worrying too much about how it looks, but more about the message. And so That to me is my video download for this week. And if you have any questions, please email me at mitchell@videocontentschool.com, or you can DM me or comment below. And again, if you have any questions about video equipment and camera equipment and lighting equipment and anything to help you for 2021 to produce the videos that you need to grow your brand, grow your career, build the company you need to build, tell your story, spread your message, or just look cool out there, please let me know. Hit me up. And thanks again for watching. And if you have any questions, again, DM me, email me, or comment below. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next Monday.